Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Bob Lee from BLS, and our next guest is the Managing Director of Enfoco Fellowship. He's with us today to speak about the impact his organization is having on providing opportunities to multicultural and Black and Brown photographers. And he does a whole lot. So please welcome to the show, Danny Peralta. Danny, welcome.
Good morning, Dr. Bob. How you doing today? Thank you for having us today.
Good. Hey, I know you're out there. You've been doing a lot of work in photography. Tell us about some of the stuff that you're working on today. And start off with giving us a little example of how you got into what you're doing right now.
100%. Yeah, I just want to give you a quick breakdown, a little history of Enfoco. Enfoco's been around almost for 50 years now, since 1974. Three photographers, Puerto Rican photographers, namely from the Bronx, got together. They said, we need a platform. Somebody needs to see these stories. We need to capture them. We need to celebrate our community. And from there, the snowball effect, right? All these years later, it's evolved. Our work right now, again, features the work of obviously Latin American artists. You're looking at obviously supporting Black artists. We do an amazing work with Asian artists, Pan-Asian artists. You're looking at folks from the native populations as well, getting published. And that's a huge thing. Publishing company, an organization that exhibits photography mainly from certain communities is a big deal. And it's actually one of the more unique organizations, I would say, in New York City, by and large.
And what are some of your responsibilities at the organization?
Sure, yeah. Well, some of the work that I get to do, I get to spend time with some amazing folks that get to curate some really good opportunities. And one of the main opportunities right now, which I would love to talk about, is our fellowship. Our 2023 fellowship, the photography fellowship, allows 10 photographers the opportunity to be exhibited, to be published in our Nueva Luz publication, as well as receive a stipend for their work. This is going to be the 10th year that we do it coming up, which is a big deal because at this point, again, we've supported close to 100 photographers just in this arena. Nueva Luz publication has been around since 1983. And so we're going to be actually doing another series coming out this past summer. We had the Fellowship 2022 issue came out, and this fall we're getting ready to release the mentorship issue that is going to feature Wendell White, a very prominent African-American photographer, and also some conversations with folks as important as Victor Dovson and Dawood Bey. We have the honor of having these individuals also present and speak on behalf of their community and their work, which spans, in some instances, 50 years plus, and MacArthur fellowships. So really prominent individuals spending time with us. And then other work that we're coming close to is next week. And next 2 weeks, we actually have two great exhibits coming out. And these are curated again in-house. One of them is called Resistance for Freedom, which is happening at Hamilton Landmark Gallery.
All right now.
And we're featuring also a great photography show called Utopian Voyage. It's going to happen at the Children's Art Carnival, and it opens October 27th. October 27th. So next 2 Thursdays, get ready. We have some great shows happening right in the center of Harlem, which is going to be, again, very important. And
those featured artists are?
We're going to be featuring some up-and-coming photographers. Let me pull up a quick list, just because I have the press release ready. Thank you for asking. We're going to be working with, let me see, we have some Chris Cook, Jeremy Dennis, Francelli Flores, who's an amazing artist from the Bronx as well, Lawrence Sumulong. We're going to be featuring the photography also of, I'm going to tell you right now, Christina Bartley. Also, again, a great photographer. And then we're also going to be, it's going to be curated by in-house by somebody who's, again, very important, both folks, Oscar Rivera and Kay Hickman, who both, again, represent photography communities, mainly out of Brooklyn, but have been working with us, again, to expand really the scope and the reach of our work and to make sure that other photographers get opportunities,
Well, thank you guys for all the work that you guys are putting in so that we can get a chance to go in and enjoy the great works that you put out. You put in and we enjoy what you put out. So so when people walk in, what do they see? What are those pictures going to look like? I mean, Just give us a little touch because I don't want to give it all away.
Sure, sure. I mean, if you could imagine a topic like resistance for freedom, the photographers that submitted work in the last couple of years, there's a thread in there, and some of these photographers were really thinking deeply and spending a lot of time within the resistance movement. Black Lives Matter, thinking about identity, thinking about perceptions of our communities, our bodies, right? How our bodies are politicized. That is what this body of work is going to represent. And again, no more appropriate space than in the middle of Harlem and 140th Street, right? Like right in the middle of Sugar Hill, in a beautiful space that's owned by a Black artist herself. And again, that space to say, not only do we resist because we own this, is very important. And so that's kind of the narrative we get to see there, hopefully. We're also going to be doing some public programming there. Folks can obviously come and see the spaces that we're going to be exhibiting. But beyond that, we're going to also be able to provide, again, services for the fellowship and some artist talks as well on November 5th. Yeah.
Now, tell us about your photography. I mean, you mainly focus on what? What do you pay mostly attention to? Because I know you got a great eye and, you capture some great things. Tell us about your photography.
Sure, thank you for asking. That's how I found Enfoco. I'm a product of Enfoco and the photography community out here in New York City and in the Bronx. My work is always kind of centered around those people that I'm most familiar with, that inhabit the spaces that I inhabit. I tell stories on topics as varied as like the war on drugs and the war on immigrants. I'm very interested in things like cultural preservation of the sights and sounds of our community as they change. Right? Environmental racism. What does it mean that our family and friends will have to walk around with an inhaler in their pocket to survive? So this is kind of these things that my photography and my art touches on. Very important, again, at a time I think where there's a lot of movement, a lot of flux, a lot of confusion about who we are as people in this world, and the vitality of our communities.
Yeah, I remember going out and covering a story early in the morning. Frankie Crocker sent us out to this particular school, and I think they had a problem at it was a water treatment plant over there in the Bronx.
Yes.
By where they do all the food market over there.
That's the point. Yes, correct.
Yeah, and I was amazed to see how many little kids had those inhalers all over the place. Yeah. Standing there interviewing people, I saw about 3 or 4 people take them out. So I said, if we got a chance to see 4 people, maybe everybody in this area is getting sick from that water treatment plant. And that's what the story was about that morning. So we had to go cover that and bring that back. So I'm glad you're covering stuff like that because people need to know. We need to create the awareness that there is a problem. There is a situation in our community that needs to be corrected. And we thank you for your service, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you for your time again. And creating this platform is very important that we own our platforms continuously and that we can continue to, again, challenge these things and solve our own problems as needed. We'll continue to do that. And photography is one of those vehicles, one of those tools. If you get a chance early next year, I want to introduce you to our Nueva Luz Study Center. And in that space, we're going to have, almost like I said, 50 years of archival information. You're looking at, essays, you're looking at all kinds of ephemera from posters. Again, really a strong glimpse into our community and this preservation that we've attempted using the camera. So, this opportunity to continue to learn and to grow, have our communities, again, be healthy, that's the center of this work. And artists should have space and healthy air and clean water to breathe and drink as they continue to do the good work of building the communities. That's very, very important, Bob, as you know.
Yeah, I like it. How can more people get involved with what you're doing? I mean, the fellowship, what qualifications do they need to get involved with you?
Oh, that's the best thing about Enfoco. The best qualification is submitting your work, having confidence in your vision and saying, you know what, let me put some photographs up. You don't have to be a professional. You do have to be 21 and older. You do have to be a resident of New York State, but that does not mean that that is only just for New York City residents. So 18 and over, you can't be a student, but again, all bodies of work are accepted. It's reviewed by peers. It doesn't get selected necessarily by Enfoco. We bring some folks in other photographers, other folks in the community. They judge it, they select the artists, and then we exhibit it and we publish the work. The folks that do not get chosen, for example, they get chosen for other community-based exhibitions like the shows that we're having in Harlem. And again, those are curators that come in and say, oh, you know what, let me look at this body of work. I like this photographer, you know, maybe this person just got out of college, or maybe this person, you know, picked up photography in their 50s and they like to photograph their, senior citizens or whatever. Let's give them an opportunity to show that body of work. That's how Enfoco, the spirit of Enfoco really is. It's kind of everybody and anybody.
So the question is, can you Foco? If you can Foco, get your work over to.
Yes, Enfoco.org. Yeah, please. And if you have any questions, the email for the fellowship is fellowship@enfoco.org. If you need to find myself, Danny@enfoco.org, and just hit us up. Great resources on that website. Please check us out at all times, including, just check us out. Good time, always.
Danny Peralta, Managing Director, Enfoco Fellowship. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing and the whole crew that's coming together to showcase what you're doing.
Definitely. Huge shout out to the whole team, Bob and Gladysel and everybody else at the office holding it down.
My brother, Danny. All right, we'll take a quick break right here. We'll come back with more wide open right here.